Well, boys, still no Brad sighting. This is weird. It's getting a little concerning. Joel, you haven't happened to see him, have you?
Haven't seen him anywhere.
Well. Maybe we'll find him soon. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends who support different clubs. This week it's three different friends. But my name is James. I support Arsenal. With me tonight, that is Joel. He supports Newcastle. And down below is Sean. He supports Tottenham still. So nothing's changed there, at least.
Now, the only thing I'll say about missing Brad is, Brad, if you're listening, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So just remember that.
I see what you did there. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Mm-hmm. Well, what we have on offer for you guys this evening, we will be reviewing last weekend's matches. So that's match week 27. For you, we'll take a look at some of these matches. We got one comment from Jimmy that we need to get into. But before we do that, if you could hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell if you're on YouTube. If you're on one of the podcast sites, follow 5-star review if your platform so allows. And then hit that share button, put it on your socials, share it with a friend, all that good stuff really does help us out tremendously. So, Jimmy, this is just a quick callback to the League Cup, which we talked about last week. But Jimmy was just pointing out that he thought the Caicedo foul should have been worse than a yellow. And Jimmy says, to me, he was just, he thought it was at worst a yellow. I misread that. So Jimmy didn't think that the Caicedo foul was a red. And he said, to me, he was just making a natural running step and Ryan was just unlucky. I don't even think he made the challenge. I don't even think he made a challenge. To me, he was just running and that's where his foot came down. So I disagree with you, Jimmy. I think it was a red card.
I disagree harshly.
But see, you apply the if it was Christian Romero rule, and I apply.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Joel. Did you see the Caicedo play we are referencing here
with Gravenberch in the cup final? Yeah.
All right. So the question, we have already established that Romero would be in the gulag. Our question to you is: would he be poisoned? That is the level we're at. He's already. They would put Romero in the gulag. There's no question.
I know poison's a whole nother level. Maybe if it was a 2-footer, it would be poison.
2-footer. Okay, so he is just to live out his days in the gulag.
That's right.
We have a good You have the would Christian Romero be deported for this, and I have the would Granit Xhaka have been sent off 3 years ago for this. So we have good context to look at these things. From our perspectives, but.
Gourmerish hasn't been lumped in with that, but he's going to be on his current path. On his current path,
he loves his elbows.
That's what Gourmerish likes.
Does. Yeah,
he is going to end up on referees' radar. And I actually, what's funny is Romero doesn't have a yellow this calendar year.
There we go.
I love it. Be very specific about how I phrase that.
Bruno
he does not have one in 2024.
He's one yellow away from a 2-game suspension, so we're just waiting because he's on. That'll be his 10th, so it's a 2-game suspension after that. Before Bruno, our guy was John Joe Shelby, and before that was Joey Barton. So we won't get into Joey Barton.
Yeah, we're not talking about Joey Barton tonight.
No,
that's where I was when Romero was one away from his suspension. Is I was plotting out where I need the yellow to happen in order for him to be suspended for a cupcake game where I don't need him as much and not, I'm fine in the game in the between.
It's like it's like when Mourinho in the Champions League got Romero, Ramos, Xabi Alonso to get sent off, get a second yellow card, so they'd be suspended. So the tactical yellow card. All right, so Premier League. So 10 games this weekend. All those results are scrolling along the bottom. And as we like to do when Joel's here, we have to talk about Newcastle. We must talk about Newcastle. It is incumbent upon us to deal with Newcastle. So it's a good weekend to be here, I guess. Better than the weekend before or the week before. But Newcastle win 3-0 at home against Wolves. What's your how do you feel? What's your takeaways?
Good win. I thought they changed tactics a little bit because they sat back, let Wolves attack, and Newcastle's goals came on the counter, which isn't normal Newcastle, especially at home, but it worked very effectively. They needed a good home win with a clean sheet, especially against Wolves, who are in and around the same position, that kind of top half, maybe pushing towards Conference League position. So, encouraging win, I thought. Clean sheet was the most important thing, and 3-goal cushion, even better. Good to see Gordon getting a goal again. He's making his claim for getting on the plane this summer, I think so.
We will talk about the England selection for the Euros this summer. Sean and I were having that conversation last week, but I do want to. You mentioned a good victory for a team that's kind of in and around you in the table.
I would push back on the good claim from Joel. I think he's being humble or short selling Newcastle. This is an absolutely enormous win for Newcastle.
Yeah, because it is big.
They would have been on 41 points. You basically would be reversed in your positioning because you are so close in points. And Wolves have been really, really good. They're still 4 points off Europe right now.
Yeah.
They're right there in the thick of it. And I'm not just saying that because 2 weeks ago they beat us. They are a tough out. And they beat us at our place too. This wasn't at the Molineux. They're a really hard team to play.
Well, to be fair, they also did it at the Molineux. They did the league double over you guys this year.
Okay, well, we weren't talking about that part. I was talking about recent. But that's an enormous win for you guys.
It is, and I was texting you guys before. I was a little nervous, especially when I predicted a draw before the game. Then I saw the lineup and I saw Dan Burns starting, and I was thinking, oh man, Pedro Neto against Dan Burns is going to be a bloodbath. Yeah. But it went well. The only negative from the game is Trippier going off injured. Actually, I have no idea how long he's out for. But
it's interesting you say that because I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago you would have been okay with Trippier being gone for a little while. I thought you were a little bit miffed by his form recently.
Yeah, he had a poor spell where his mistakes cost us against Chelsea in the Cup quarterfinals. In a few league games, I remember away at Everton, 2 goals were his fault. But I mean, it happens. Form's temporary.
Yep.
Class is permanent, as they say. But no, really pleased with the win, especially because this year at home, Newcastle have lost to Forest, drawn against Luton at home, drawn against Bournemouth at home. And so I was a little pessimistic going into Wolves at home because they're better. Wolves are better than those teams. Yeah. So, 3-0 win. And like I said, Gordon getting a goal was cool too. I love that guy.
So that leaves Newcastle in 8th, as Sean alluded to. 2 points for Newcastle, 2 points away from West Ham, who are at 7th. We got 11 games left to play for all these teams in this area. Obviously, Europe is attainable. I
think they'll get it.
Now, Conference League is only 2 points, but Europa League is only 4 points. Manchester United still have some tough games remaining. West Ham is West Ham. You never know what they're going to do. So I think either of those are pretty attainable for Newcastle. What do you think?
I think Newcastle will get some form of Europe this year. I hope it's Europa League. If it's Conference League, that's okay. Given the season we've had with injuries and suspensions, I think Newcastle are the team that's been hit the hardest with injuries in terms of days missed with players. So
I think you're right, yeah.
With Pope coming back, that's huge. Hopefully he gets back soon because as soon as he went out, our form dipped massively. But it's not all Dubravka's fault. He's just not as good as Nick Pope. So I think with our defense getting stronger, that will only help us. And now confidence coming back into the team, and Harvey Barnes is back. That gives us options off the bench. Willock's back. That gets him straight back in the team. Unfortunately, at the expense of Lewis Miley, who's been brilliant since he came in, but he needs to be managed as well because he's so young.
Yeah. I mean, we saw what happened to Barcelona this weekend with relying on these children and playing them 70, 80 times a season, and they're just falling apart.
So I actually think I'm confident of Newcastle leapfrogging at least West Ham and maybe even United. I don't know. Well, the good thing is, so really quick, I think the good thing is we've played Arsenal home and away. We've played Liverpool home and away. We've played City home and away. They're gone. All those 6 games are gone. Played Villa home and away. Like, we've played a lot of the big teams at the top home and away already. So not that there's any easy games, but yeah.
What I was going to point out is you have West Ham at the end of March, and that's at home. West Ham come to St. James's Park, but you do go to Old Trafford.
That's a huge game.
On the 20th of April. So, yeah, I mean,
massive game.
If you beat West Ham, then you're above them. And then if you beat United, then you'd probably be above them at that point.
You just never know with Man United. I mean, they lose at home to Fulham. They lost at home to Fulham. So Newcastle can go to Old Trafford and expect to win.
Yeah, why not? I mean, especially as you guys are getting more and more healthy, why not expect that, or at least go in there with confidence. So
yeah, exactly. So I'm confident of Europe, which I wouldn't have said 2-3 weeks ago, but it's amazing how a couple of good results can change things.
Now, just quick note, you were a little down on Eddie Howe last time we spoke. So say you guys get Europa League, you finish 6th, and do you think would you like to see Eddie Howe continue, and do you think that the ownership will allow Eddie Howe to continue?
If Newcastle finish 6th, absolutely. Yeah. I think if Newcastle finish outside of Europe, then, and unfortunately we've got City away in the FA Cup. So that's just, an FA Cup run would have been brilliant. Who knows what happens with that? We could win. Yeah, it's the cup. We could win. Odds are strongly against us. If we had gotten home to Coventry, that would have been brilliant because we'd be on our way to Wembley if we beat them, but for the semi-final. But so I mean, I would have said no Europe and a no FA Cup run. He may be in trouble, but strong finish to the season, and I'm forgetting the FA Cup now just because City away. But if Newcastle can finish 6th, 7th, Conference League, Europa League, Eddie Howe will be in charge next season, 100%. Because they'll have full strength squad, backroom injuries. Tonali coming back next season. It's going to be huge. He's one of our best, if not, maybe he and Bruno are our best midfielders. So
yeah, he'll be like a brand new signing, essentially.
He will be. Yeah, so. He played like 7 or 8 games this season, and that was it. So
I think if you guys finish 4th last year healthy into the Champions League, if Eddie Howe's able to finish 7th, get you into the Europa with the injuries you have, he should win Manager of the Year. He honestly,
he won't.
Yeah, I don't think
he won't. He won't, but he should. To finish 6th with the injuries you've had is an extremely impressive managing job.
Yeah. No, he's. I think he's had hard times this season, but yeah, I think Manager of the Year is either going to be whoever wins the league, or if Luton stay up, then it's going to be Luton's manager, whose name I can't remember right now.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Got it. James, is it weird that I said whoever wins the league and then your flag fell down?
It was a bit ominous. Speaking of the league, it's really tight. 2 points separate Liverpool in 1st and Arsenal in 3rd, with City sandwiched in between. Now, the goal difference has gotten a little better, favoring Arsenal, obviously. As everyone's probably well aware, Arsenal have been scoring goals like it's going out of style over the last 3 weeks. And, I should have prepared better and found out exactly how many goals we've scored over the course of the last... Well, since Liverpool, it's 3, 9...
it's 30-something.
15... Yeah, so it looks like we scored like 25 goals in the last 5 games.
Yeah.
And then we've won 6 or 7 straight. So we've scored an astronomical number of goals. And now our goal difference is 6 better than Liverpool and 10 better than City. So that's but all the teams at the top keep winning. That's really what the breakdown is. Everybody keeps winning. The pressure remains. Got a really, really interesting matchup coming at the weekend. If you guys want to hear more about that, you'll have to tune in tomorrow for our preview episode. You won't want to miss that, where we will talk about that. But
speaking of scoring goals, there is only one team in the entire Premier League who has scored at least 1 goal in every game they've played.
Okay.
It is Tottenham Hotspur.
I was going to say. That must mean they have a great goal difference.
It is absolutely impeccable if you compare it to the rest of the league that are below them in the table.
Okay, yeah, so let's talk about Tottenham. So Tottenham, this is the boogeyman game, the Crystal Palace game.
Yeah, the fun one.
The difficult one for you guys.
Yeah, especially at Selhurst. Or no, this was at home.
Yeah,
this was at home.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's anytime we play them. Yeah, when the free kick went in from Eze, which, by the way, was a wonderful strike.
Beautiful.
Right? It's hard to take anything away from him on that. I just thought, here we go. this is Tottenham Palace. This is it. But as I mentioned in pre-production, we have 19 points from losing positions, and 5 wins out of those 19 points. So 15 of those 19 points are wins out of that. So that's a lot of rescued points, which is completely unsustainable, and definitely won't be happening next week. If we go down to Villa at Villa Park, we're probably not rescuing that, or rescuing a point, if anything. However, that goes contrary to what you've been saying, James. You've been championing the second half Spurs as the team as probably better than the Centurions or the Invincibles.
Well, no, I have not said that.
Specifically, Spurs in the second half are better than Centurions and the Invincibles, I think is your exact quote.
No, what I have been saying is that in the first 15 minutes of the second half, Spurs are the most dangerous team in the Premier League. That's what I've been saying. I think that the Invincibles Spurs would come out at the start of the second half, and the Invincibles wouldn't get a touch on the Invincibles. The Invincibles would kick the ball around for 20 minutes and score a goal. So I want to contrast your thought about Spurs picking up points from losing positions. Do you guys happen to know who is the team that has dropped the most points from winning positions this year?
It's also Spurs.
Incorrect. It's not Spurs.
Oh, really?
Oh, let me think about this.
Spurs aren't even anywhere close to that. Are they? Yeah.
Then that's,
they are close, actually.
It's got to be somebody that scores early and often.
Is it?
Is it Forest?
Is it Newcastle?
Nope.
Good.
Okay. Forest is my official guess if it's not Tottenham.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you want to know?
I don't know.
It happened to them this weekend.
Happened this weekend. Okay.
So then it's Palace.
No.
Oh.
Not Man United. No.
We're running out of teams here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's Brentford. So Brentford have dropped 28 points from winning positions. Brentford were down at the beginning of the game, but they scored 2 on Chelsea. So they went up 2-1 against Chelsea, and then Chelsea came back and drew the game. So I don't want to get out of here without us all having a nice laugh at Chelsea for drawing their match against Brentford. They are still they are occupying that 11th position like it's going out of style. Now they do need to take note of the fact that Fulham are creeping up on them. Fulham are just 1 point behind, and wouldn't that be something for Fulham fans to finish above Chelsea?
Well, I was just when I was running through in the pre-production looking at the results. Is it more, James?
Okay,
I'll let you answer first. Last week when we recorded, if I would have Stradamus proclaimed to you that Newcastle would win 3-0 and Fulham would win 3-0, which one would you have said is more preposterous? Fulham beating Brighton or Newcastle beating Wolves?
Fulham beating Brighton. Because I still think Newcastle at home is a very tough ask for anyone in the Premier League. Regardless,
they're both surprising results, is what I was going for.
Oh, Fulham getting 3 points against Brighton was not expected to me. Now I think Fulham were the home team, right? Yeah, so
they were. It was at
Craven Cottage. Brighton have been up and down this year. Like they are the least consistent team, I would say. It's like them and Manchester United, who just like can't get a run of games together. Well, they'll have a great victory and then they'll lose kind of absurdly. And it seems that when Brighton they lose kind of like these games that you don't expect them to, they lose in such convincing fashion. Like losing 3 against Fulham. Like this Fulham team has not been great this year. They've been decent, but they've not been great this year. And maybe I expect more from De Zerbi's side. But yeah, I don't know. I think I had Brighton finishing like 5th this year or something like that. So I was obviously very high on them. Coming
Brighton did have a midweek FA Cup game that
true. That's a fair point.
That went the distance. So that may have played a part. I don't know. But
it probably does. It has to because their squad is very thin.
Yeah.
Especially if you ask De Zerbi. De Zerbi will tell you just how many players they've lost without replacing them.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem long for that job. Especially with all the other teams circling. But okay, I think that's all we needed to discuss here. Aston Villa did get a late winner against Luton Town, so that's making the fight for that 5th position or the 4th position, the final Champions League position, is getting really interesting. Because Sean, I think you still think that Tottenham are right there. Obviously, you guys have a game in hand against Villa, but it's 5 points separating you guys right now. So if Spurs beat Chelsea in their fixture that hasn't been played yet, 2 points separate those two teams. So,
and you'll have to find out next week what I think about the game when we play them.
Yeah,
this upcoming week
might have been a soft tease to get people interested in tomorrow's episode because Sean alluded to it. Villa Spurs this weekend. That's going to be a big one.
It's that and the game in hand.
Yeah. So you'll have to tune in tomorrow. Now, you can interact with us on social media. I'm at James Tiffany. Sean is at Whitehart_Sean. Joel is still at Joel Findley 16, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. I haven't forgotten that. Collectively, we are at Redcard_Radio. Check back tomorrow. We will be picking winners and losers, and maybe somebody will pick a draw here or there. Not that Sean doesn't do that a lot. So you want to check back tomorrow, and we will have that for you. But until then, I hope you guys have a good day. Enjoy wherever you're at, and we will be back tomorrow. Have a good one.